He's like, yeah, man, P came in here and beat up on my body.
I done come from that. Now I'm trying to go an opposite way. I don't want to be walking around cracking people in the head and drive-bying on people. That ain't me.
Pimp C has always been his own man. When he make up his mind to do whatever it is he want to do, that's what he gonna do.
He's like, yeah, man, Pia came in here and beat up on my body. I didn't come from nothing. Now I'm trying to go opposite way. I don't want to be walking around cracking people in the head and drive-buying on people. That ain't me. Pimp C has always been his own man. When he make up his mind to do whatever it is he want to do, that's what he going to do. Every region down south got its legends. Some bigger, some wilder, some way more dangerous. But few stories hit like the war between Master P and Pimp C. Once I found out Mama was cool what was going on, and I felt like if Pimp was alive, would he speak on it? Yeah, and I absolutely believe he was. Two visionaries chasing dominance, crashing into each other in a storm that mixed money, ego, and street power. My two friends. I definitely felt I needed to step in. Master P wanted to be respected, and Pimp C wanted to be respected. To get both parties on one. A chord with a subject of respect. That was the solution. Hotel rooms turned into battlegrounds. Phones rang in Houston with deadly favors being called in, and one of rap's most feared CEOs had to jump in before things got fatal. The dude came to Jay Prince to get permission to kill Chad, right? And Jay Prince like, no, we got a lot of money on the line. This my guy. And they gaffled him up. This wasn't just rap. It was pride, power, and straight-up survival, leaving. Wounds that never healed. The South got its own myths. Stories that never hit the headlines, but lived through mixed-apps, whispers backstage, and people who swear they saw it all unfold. One of those tales sits right between Texas and Louisiana. Two states built different, but driven by the same hunger for respect. It's the story of Pimp C, the fire-spitting half of UGK, and Master P, the mastermind behind No Limit Records. You know, I name my company No Limit because it's going to be no limit to my success. And I named myself Master. P because I said I'm going to master whatever I do. A label that ran like a street army. What started as a smooth collaboration turned into one of the most explosive and talked about feuds in Southern rap history. And at the center of it all, two things that always break alliances, money and respect. By the mid-90s, Pimp C wasn't just a rapper. He was a sound genius, producing tracks soaked in Texas soul. He crafted hooks, flip beats, and gave records at heavy bounce that hit from Houston's clubs to car stereos all across the South. Outspoken, he could rap, he could sing, he could produce. He was a multi-tal. Master P was deep in his grind, selling records out the trunk, flipping Richmond hustle into a full-blown New Orleans empire, and plotting to take over the whole rap game. When his path crossed with UGK, it was supposed to be a win-win. UK brought that Texas stamp of authenticity, and Master P brought the power of reach and business muscle. Their biggest link-up came in 1996 on Break Them Off Something Off P's Ice Cream Man album, a track that cracked, opened the doors for P across the South, giving No Limit its first real wave of momentum outside Louisiana. It was loud, it was raw, and it made the South pay attention. But for Pimp C, that success didn't come clean. Behind the scenes, there were arguments over royalties, credits, and who really deserved what. Classic music business drama. Except this one didn't stay on paper. When Break Them Off Something blew up, questions started circling about whether Pimp C got paid what he truly earned. People close to him claimed he felt undercut, like the royalties didn't match the weight he brought to the record. And for Pimp, this wasn't about just money. It was about respect. He gave the beat, the hook, and the southern bounce that helped lift Master's name into a new stratosphere. To him, that deserved recognition, not shortchange. But the real shift, it didn't go down in the studio. It went down over the phone. And it wasn't even Pimp C calling. It was his mother, Wessel Monroe, better known as Mama Wess. Everyone in the game knew her. She wasn't just family. She was the boss behind the boss, protecting her son's business and guarding every second of his time. One day, Master P hit up Mama Wess, pushing hard for Pimp C to slide down to Baton Rouge for a recording session. But Pimp already had another gig lined up. An independent artist had paid him the same $10,000 P was offering, and he wasn't about to break his word. Mama West kept it straight. Business was business, and that indie check was just as real. But Master P didn't like hearing no. He fired back, allegedly saying that her artist's record wouldn't get any shine while it was about to take over the street. What should have been a simple scheduling talk turned into a full-blown power clash. Mama West wasn't backing down. She stood firm and told P straight up that he couldn't just call the shots like that. Master P cussed out C's mom on the phone. So Pimp got on stage that night, and he said limit and went off. According to her, the convo ended with words that cut way deeper than business. Pimp overheard it, and in his eyes, that changed everything. This wasn't about missing a session anymore. It was about respect. Where Pimp C came from, you never talked down to his mother, not over something as small as a studio booking. That kind of disrespect burned deep. Even though Master P called back about half an hour later trying to smooth things out and reschedule for next day, the damage was already locked in. They did the track, and yeah, it hit big, but something inside Pimp shifted for good. From that moment on, it wasn't just music anymore. It was personal. Once the tension hit, Pimp C didn't hold back. He started calling it out live on stage. At show after show, he let the crowd know exactly how he felt, telling fans about the disrespect, saying Master P had cursed out his mother. Whether that detail was fact or just how he took those heated words didn't even matter. In Pimp's eyes, the line had been crossed and the world needed to hear it. Fans fed off that energy, chanting against No Limit against Master P. The fire was spreading city to city, show to show. But what Pimp C did wasn't just venting frustration. It was a straight-up declaration of war. And back then in hip-hop, that kind of public humiliation wasn't just risky. It was dangerous. Respect meant everything. And once you try to take that from a man in front of an audience, there had to be a response. I built No Limit on $10,000. I put my own poster. I went to every hood. I started taking my van and going from hood to hood selling my CDs. That's the whole thing. I started selling that out of the trunk. For Master P, a man whose whole image was built on dominance, ignoring it simply wasn't an option. To understand how deep this cut, you got to remember where P came from. His story became the blueprint for independence in rap. He didn't walk into a label begging to be signed. He built his own empire brick by brick. It all started in Richmond, California, long before the South crowned him king. He was grinding every day, hustling records straight out the trunk, stacking every single dollar, and slowly building a name as the man who knew how to move product. No Limit wasn't just a label. It was his mindset, his code, and his way of showing there really were no limits. By the time Master P moved his base back home to New Orleans, he wasn't thinking like a rapper anymore. He was thinking like a mogul. He learned early that real power came from ownership, owning your masters, controlling your distribution, and keeping everything in-house meant total freedom. No Limit Records became a full-blown machine, loud, flashy, and impossible to ignore. P built an army, Silk the Shocker, C Murder, Maya X, Mystical Fiend, and later even Snoop Dogg. The lineup felt endless, and so did the music. Man, I'm 16 years old. I'm doing shows Thursday, Friday, Saturday, and Sunday. And we really was no serious money. I think we getting $500 a show. Every week. A new No Limit project hit store shelves, flooding the market and keeping the name everywhere. With Priority Records backing national distribution, P finally had reach. But his grind stayed local, stayed southern, and stayed rooted in that belief that nobody could outwork him. Meanwhile, 300 miles west, UGK was cooking up something entirely different. Port Arthur wasn't known for rap. It was small, industrial, quiet compared to Houston or Dallas. But that's where Pimp C and Bun B were crafting a new southern sound. Pimp wasn't just rapping. He was producing, composing, and shaping music that didn't sound like New York, LA, or even New Orleans. It was raw Texas soul, thick bluesy and dripping with attitude, built with church organs, heavy funk, and the thump of the rolling 808. Pimp called it country rap tunes. A sound so southern, it didn't just represent the culture, it defined it. Bun B was the anchor, that deep voice with authority, the kind that made people stop and listen. Pimp C was the wild card, high-pitched, emotional, unpredictable, 1 minute fiery and confrontational, the next smooth enough to sing his own hooks. Temp has always been his own man. When he make up his mind to do whatever it is he want to do, that's what he going to do. Together, they were perfectly balanced. Two halves of one unstoppable force. They took their southern slang, their street stories, and turned them into something real. Something that didn't need a cosign from New York or L.A. This is where the paths of UGK and No Limit started to cross. By the mid-90s, No Limit was on the rise, and Master P was hungry to lock in collaborations that would plant his flag even deeper in the South. UGK already had respect locked down across Texas and Louisiana. It's Pimp C, man. Listen, bro. The man is such a character. Bro. He is Master P. Pimp's beats carried that raw grit P loved, and Bun's voice added the kind of weight that could anchor any track. So when they linked up in 1996 for Break Them Off Something, it felt like a Southern superpower move, a collision of two regional giants. For a brief moment, it looked like both sides were winning. Mutual respect, mutual shine. But from the start, their worlds operated differently. Master P thought like a boss. Business first, art second. Always focused on leverage, ownership, and expansion. Pimp C, he was built from a different code. He cared about the music, the respect, and standing on principle. And yeah, money mattered, but never more than his pride. Once the tension spilled from phone calls and behind-scenes drama into the music, that's when everyone really started paying attention. Pimp C was never the type to stay silent. He turned his anger into art, throwing slick-coded shots on records. One verse, he'd be calling out fake hustlers. The next, he'd drop a bar about someone trying to control his time and disrespect his family. To most listeners, it sounded like regular rap talk. But for those who knew the situation, every line hit like a direct jab at Master P. Man, listen. Pimp C was a character, bold, emotional, and unfiltered. He didn't care who caught the smoke if he felt disrespected. And of course, Master P wasn't about to just sit back and take it. He had his own way of firing back. Instead of subliminal lyrics, P fought through presentation. No limits. Music and visuals started looking and sounding like a full-on army. Polished, militant, and powerful. Every beat hit like a march. Every hook echoed like a war champ. See what's going on stage saying, F no, limit. Everything from the tank logos to the album covers screamed dominance. He didn't even have to name names. The message was loud and clear. We're bigger, stronger, and untouchable. Against UK's raw, muddy Texas sound, it felt like two different versions of the South were going head-to-head. Gritty country soul versus organized street empire. Fans caught on quick. In Texas, people were rewinding. Verses, circling bars, whispering, that's for No Limit. Meanwhile, in Louisiana, the loyalty of P ran deep, and the divide between both camps was only getting wider. By now, Master P had grown way past being just a rapper. He was the face of New Orleans' hustle done right. To his fans, he was proof that street grind could turn into empire moves. So, every time UGK dropped a slick line or threw shade, No Limit supporters brushed it off as jealousy. He said he had P had the gloves on and was going to work on it, yeah. Came up in a hotel room. On that was pretty much how that went. Claiming those Texas boys just couldn't handle the rise of the tank. But it wasn't that simple. UK already had the South's underground on lock. Their credibility was solid, something no flashy marketing could ever buy. Their sound was stitched into Texas car culture, blasting through candy-painted rides and bass-heavy trunks. Country rap tunes wasn't just a sound, it was a whole lifestyle. And when Pimp C threw subliminals, they weren't just dices, they were warnings. He's like, yeah, man, Pia came in here and a beat up on my body. He wanted it clear he wasn't anyone's artist for hire, and definitely not anyone's soldier. If proving that meant burning bridges, he'd light the match himself. There's one show from that era, that says it all. Before even rapping a bar, Pimp C stopped the music and told the crowd about a whole dude from Louisiana disrespecting his mama. And the crowd went crazy. Thousands of fans started chanting Master P in perfect unison. That wasn't subliminal. My two friends, I definitely felt I needed to step in. Master P wanted to be respected, and Pimp C wanted to be respected to get both parties on one accord. Well, the subject of respect, that was a solution. That was a public statement shouted from the stage. From that moment on, every UGK verse that even hinted at a diss carried extra weight. The tension was real and the South felt divided. Every UGK track with sharp jabs became an anthem for Texas pride, while every new No Limit release, stacked with features, music videos, and national reach became proof that Louisiana's general was still untouchable. What started as two men clashing over money, respect, and ego had now exploded into a full-blown cultural divide. The music wasn't just reflecting the beef anymore. It was fueling it. Every verse, every performance, every rumor kept, fanning the flames until Southern rap fans were forced to pick sides. UGK or No Limit. Once the drama hit that public F Master P chant, things crossed a line that couldn't be undone. And Master P's next move didn't come through lyrics. It came in the real world. According to multiple accounts from Pimp's family, his close friends, and even his own later stories, one night, while Pimp C was staying at a residence inn in Sugar Land, Texas, everything went left. He was there working on Ridin' Dirty, and his usual downtown hotel was booked. So he settled for Sugar Land, not realizing he was right in Master P's backyard. That night, his door was forced open. Several masked men stormed in, and among them reportedly was Master P himself. They held Pimp down, and P, wearing gloves, allegedly went to work, striking him across the face and body with a pistol. This wasn't just a fight. It was a warning, a message written in bruises. By the end of it, the story goes that P pulled off his mask, looked Pimp dead in the eye, and made sure he knew exactly who was behind it. The aftermath was brutal. Pimp suffered concussion, and Mama West believed he even had fractured ribs. The music war had officially turned physical, and the South would never look at either man the same again. Pimp C was shaken to his core, not just from the beating itself, but from how it happened. They wasn't really concerned about me or my well-being. They were just trying to cover there in case something went down, and I got hurt in his world. If there's a problem, you handle it man to man. Fair fight, win or lose. But getting jumped, held down, and beaten while restrained, that broke every code he lived by. It wasn't just pain, it was humiliation, and the timing couldn't have been worse. UGK was right in the middle of creating Ridin' Dirty, the project that would go on to define Southern rap. But after that night, Pimp couldn't focus. He was bruised, furious, and mentally scattered. Studio sessions froze, deadlines slipped, and the album got pushed back for months. In later interviews, even his team admitted he lost all inspiration for a while. It took time, healing, and straight-up willpower before he could even step back into the booth. If that attack was meant to end the feud, it did the exact opposite. It poured gasoline on it. Instead of closure, Pimp walked away feeling betrayed, disrespected, and stripped of his pride. The beef wasn't about money or business anymore. It was personal, written in blood and bruises. Down south, pride runs deep and tempers burn fast. Words can turn to violence in a heartbeat, and that's exactly what went down here. What started as a business disagreement spiraled into a dangerous cycle of threats, retaliation, and pure bad blood that could have easily ended in tragedy. Both men were powerful, proud, and too stubborn to back down quietly. And as the early 2000s hit, all that pressure, anger, and trauma started catching up to Pimp C, pulling him toward a dark, dangerous spiral he couldn't escape. The hotel attack, the nonstop subliminals, the growing paranoia from hearing his name, dragged through Southern rap beefs. All of it left Pimp C raw and restless. The dude came to Jay Prince to get permission to kill Chad, right? And Jay Prince no. That's no. We got a lot of money on the line. This my guy. And they gaffled him up. He kept making music, keeping UGK alive in spirit. But behind the scenes, his personal life was slipping fast. Then came the moment that changed everything. 2002. That year, Pimp was sentenced to 8 years for aggravated assault, a charge that came from a heated altercation where a gun was allegedly involved. It was the kind of chaos that had followed him for years. But this time, it finally caught up. When the judge dropped that sentence, it hit like a gut punch, not just to UGK, but to the whole Southern rap world. This wasn't just any rapper going down. This was the voice that demanded the South get its respect. The man who gave country rap tunes its soul. Almost instantly, Bun B turned pain into movement, launching the now legendary Free Pimp C campaign. Mixtapes, t-shirts, stage shout-outs. The phrase was everywhere. It became a rallying cry from Houston all the way to New York, uniting artists and fans who wanted their guy back. But inside those walls, love from the outside couldn't soften reality. Pimp refused protective custody. He wouldn't isolate himself from the world. As he later said, he couldn't stand the thought of sitting alone, cut off from everything he loved. So he stayed in general population, moving through Texas units, standing tall the whole way, determined to survive his sentence the same way he lived his life. Proud, stubborn, and unbroken. In prison, Pimp C turned into a straight-up folk hero, respected by inmates, admired as proof that someone from their world could make it big and still stay real. But those walls didn't calm his paranoia. They made it worse. After his release, he spoke openly about how guards singled him out, how doing time in Texas meant always running into people who either hated him for who he was or wanted something from him. On one side, he was writing rhymes, inspiring young artists and keeping creativity alive. But on the other, he was boiling inside, replaying every betrayal, every word, every move that cut him deep. The hotel incident still haunted him, and the name Master P never left his thoughts. To Pimp, that story wasn't over. It was unfinished business. Meanwhile, on the outside, his people kept the tension alive. Whispers floated through the South. Rumors of violent run-ins between UGK affiliates and No Limit associates. Heated club encounters and standoffs at shows. Nothing ever turned into an all-out war, but the tension was thick enough to feel in the air. And with Pimp locked up, every story that reached him only fed his distrust. He didn't know who was plotting, who was protecting him, or who might be waiting for him once he got out. Then came the darkest. Rumor yet. Word spread that someone in Master P's circle had supposedly made a call to Houston, asking for permission to take Pimp off the map completely. And in the South, something that's serious doesn't move without the green light from higher-ups. Whether it was real or just talk, it was enough to make Pimp's paranoia explode. Because in his mind, the war was far from over. And in Houston, all roads led to James Prince. J. Prince was the silent power behind the rap world. The kind of man whose name carried more weight than most rappers could ever dream of. In Texas, if someone wanted to greenlight anything serious, it had to run through him first. And according to people close to Pimp C, that's exactly what happened. A call was allegedly made from P's camp, asking for the green light to take Pimp out. But J. Prince wasn't having it. He shut it down instantly. No hesitation, no discussion. His word alone kept the situation from blowing up into something deadly. But even with the fire put out, the fact that such a call was ever made stuck deep in Pimp's mind. To him, it confirmed every fear. That enemies were circling. That people he'd once worked with might have wanted him gone. What he once saw as a personal beef now looked like a much darker game. Proof of how ruthless and dangerous the industry could be if you let your guard down. Those years inside wore him down. He later admitted the time drained him mentally and financially. Even with real ones like Bun B and Jay-Z looking out for him, the money dried up faster than it came in. It made him angrier, more paranoid, and harder to trust anyone again. But through all that pain, he found clarity. When he finally walked out in December 2005, free after 3 long years, he carried both the scars and the lessons with him. And one of the first things he did was try to close old wounds. In later interviews, Master P himself recalled that moment. Pimp C came up to him, looked him in the eye, and said, "Big dog, I apologize to you. That was my bad. I was on drugs, no games, no ego, just raw honesty from a man trying to finally put the past behind him." It's almost heartbreaking in his honesty. The same paranoia and fiery temper that once fueled the ugliest parts of the beef were really symptoms of something deeper. Stress, pain, and too many demons chasing him at once. Mama West later confirmed it all, saying Master P was actually one of the first people to call her son when he finally came home. They talked it out. They let the hate go and even spoke about working together again, trying to bring things full circle after years of chaos. But even in that peace, the shadow never fully disappeared. Pimp had spent years believing someone wanted him gone, living through rumors, threats, and betrayal that left scars no apology could erase. The paranoia, the prison time, the endless whispers, all of it pushed him to the brink. Yet Wei came home. He tried hard to rebuild, to move forward, to turn pain into purpose. The beef with Master P never completely faded, but it was finally buried. They both moved on. Two giants from the South who had gone from allies to enemies and somehow found respect again. But the real tragedy, time wasn't on Pimp's side. Just 2 years later, on December 4th, 2007, he was gone, leaving behind a legacy that still echoes across Southern rap. Mama West passed away years later, and out of pure respect, Master P rarely speaks on that chapter today, saying he won't discuss it while Pimp and his mother aren't here to share their truth. The story of Pimp C and Master P is more than a feud. It's a reminder how pride, pain, and power can shape legend forever. So, what do you think? Was their peace real or just temporary? Drop your thoughts in the comments. Hit that like button, share this video with your crew, and make sure you subscribe to Drip Z for more wild hip-hop stories and untold drama straight from the culture.